to everybody. I should say a sunny morning. I can see the sun peeking through the clouds. My name's Colin Love, and a big warm welcome to this second event organised by the BRCC and Romania Insider called Spotlight Leaders of the Future. Romania Insider is Romania's most read English news platform, and the British Romanian Chamber of Commerce is among the leading chambers of commerce in Romania. This event, we want to focus on learning from leaders in a very practical way. Topics include leadership, business strategy, SMEs, and startup trends, venture capital, and of course, Romania's position within Europe as an emerging market. A big thank you to Vodafone Business for making this event possible. I do remember not so long ago teaching leadership skills. One of the quotes I said was, leaders are like the conductors of an orchestra. Well, I think fast forward, we're kind of like leaders are the conductors of a jazz band, a big jazz band, as we're looking to improvise and do a little bit of jamming with the team as well. So I'm delighted to say we've got a kind of rock star leadership lineup for you today, ladies and gentlemen, starting off with Marius Unganu, who's a managing partner with Tremend. He's been a manager in the software industry for over 20 years, overseeing complex projects from sales to deployment and support. He's a managing partner, as I mentioned, of Tremend, with a focus on operations and shaping the organization to become a top software Romanian provider. And to underline that, I can be delighted, you've probably seen it in the news recently, that Tremend is the fastest growing technology company in Romania for the last 4 years. Secondly, we have Andrei Dudoiu, who's the co-founder and CEO of Seed Blink. After another 20 years of banking experience, Andrei started a new life journey in 2018, willing to build new experiences, developing his skills and autonomy as an entrepreneur and support the innovation ecosystem. Since then, Andrei initiated startup Seed Blink, an investment platform dedicated to back European tech startups and their visionary founders. And finally, from Vodafone, our sponsor, we have Alex Balou. His experience, another 20 years experience. You must have all gone to school at the same time, I think. 20 years experience in the telecom industry. Alex is leading the entrepreneurs segment in the enterprise and business unit at Vodafone. He's having extensive experience transforming and building profitable businesses, solid commercial models, turnarounds, and building partnerships. Alex is passionate about digitalization and new technologies, innovative solutions. These can improve people's life and help business to gain competitive advantage. Before we start, ladies and gentlemen, I kindly encourage all the participants for today, if you've got any questions, you can put them in the chat, and I will promise you we will cover those, or as many of those as possible. We are streaming live right now on Facebook and on YouTube. So any colleagues, anybody who wants to watch, we're online now. So thank you very much. Okay, just to kick off, I'm going to ask our guests to tell us a little bit more about what's happening right now in their organization, but more specifically, gentlemen, how did the last months change your view on your business model? Did your company actually benefit from COVID? And why did it benefit? And does this apply, do you think, to your industry as a whole? And I'm going to ask Marius to kick us off. Good morning, Marius.
Good morning, Colin. Good to see you again. And thank you for the invitation, and thank you, Volker. How did Tremend benefited from COVID? Well, we've experienced last year over 40% growth in COVID times, which is good compared to probably what's happening in the rest of the industries. It's not an unusual growth necessarily in the IT sector, though. The whole IT sector was it did suffer, let's say, some impact from industries that were affected, but it did compensate a lot with requests for a new platform for digitalization, digitizing the interaction with their users, and which many companies were forced to go through in order to support their businesses um, during those times. So all in all, it was a good year, and I hope this one will be as well.
Interesting. Just on that, Damaris, you said about you think most companies is the IT industry kind of governed, because I guess many organisations, including I guess Tremen to a certain extent, are reliant on having customers in profitable, successful industries. What is the impact on that very quickly? And I guess we're getting to advice as well. What advice do you think that some IT companies, providers should suddenly change and look at another market or stay where they are? What do you recommend?
Well, it is true that some clients did see impacts on their businesses, but in the meantime, shutting down their gateway with their interaction doors with their clients, let's say, was not an option. So what do you do when people don't come into your offices? You need to open up some digital channels when talking to them. So this accelerated some projects that maybe were postponed for too long. And in the meantime, finding the budget to do this maybe requires some internal shifting from one department to another. But that wasn't not digitizing was not an option for the clients. Yeah.
So I guess it's actually accelerated things in many ways for organisations, hasn't it? Alex, let me just come to you. A man in the communications world. I guess in theory, because we've all been spending a lot of time at home, I guess Vodafone has been busy through this. But what is the reality, and what's your vision in terms of Vodafone's business model? Has it changed, or is it going to change, do you think, over the coming months?
So I believe it's a very good question that I will split it in two. So what was the impact in our organization here in Vodafone Romania, and what was the impact of the last month is over the industry of the telecommunication industry, which are two different things. First of all, for us was a very busy year. Yes, extremely busy, as you already said. 1 year before, as you know, Vodafone acquired UPC, and we believe that this will be a very comprehensive and an integration that will take us a lot of time, and we need to take a lot of care. But then COVID came, and when we looked back, it was a very easy integration versus what we had to face in the beginning of the last year with the COVID coming. So our business internally benefited from many perspectives due to the COVID and due to the acceleration of the digitalization. When the crisis came, our top priority was to take care about people, to take care about our people, as we are a very large organization and a lot of people are working in our company, and also to be able to take care of our clients. And I will give you an example. We have decided at company level to move the whole call center, hundreds and hundreds of people, to work from home. This was never even in our dreams, okay, to consider that a whole call center for a company like Vodafone can be very efficient and very professional and to operate by working from home. So digitalization also the crisis put a lot of pressure on the digitalization, like Marius also said before. Today, we had to discover new ways in order to stay in contact with customers. So our team was locked home and working from home, and the customers were locked in their houses, okay? And it was an issue because a lot of people were calling us the need to increase the speed, to buy new packages of internet, because with the whole family now being at home and connected to all the devices in the house, you need to be sure that the band will work smoothly and everybody can connect a video call in a smooth way. So we have developed new channels, new digital channels, and I believe we have managed to develop in like weeks what before we needed months. in order to make it happen. So the speed of reaction was very, very high. Also in technology. So in the technology part, actions on sites like building a site, building a new infrastructure that took us, as per the industry timelines, go to market between 2 to 4 months. Now we are deploying it in 1 week or 2 weeks. So all the processes were short-circuited. Yeah, so were put under pressure, and new ways of doing business came up. I said that we have launched the digital channels. We had it in our plan and we did a lot of things. But now, after the beginning of the year, we have done something amazing. So if a customer wants to get in touch with us, the customer clicks on a link, on a banner, when he sees an advertising or whatever, and in 10 minutes we call back. We have a dedicated team in the back that is able to stay in contact with the customer very fast. We have enabled the digital signature, the contract that you can do it from distance. So the customer is not obliged anymore to interact with us in our shops. So the impact in Vodafone, just to keep it, just to conclude, was more positive versus negative. And also in the way in which we have managed the customers, we had to stay in contact much more than before. We have a lot of requests. You know that especially Horeca and other small businesses were hugely affected by the situation, by the lack of customers, lack of traffic, and being unable to perform the business. So we had a lot of requests. We had to listen to the customer and to find what is the most appropriate way in order to continue the partnership. So more or less, this is the impact in our company. More positive than negative. We had a lot of learnings and we have managed to speed up a lot of things towards digitalization. At the industry level, due to the fact that customers are not traveling anymore abroad, you imagine that this put a lot of pressure on our roaming revenues and on roaming tariffs. Everybody staying at home, watching movie, working remote. So at industry level, we were affected, and the line, okay, the vertical that was most affected was this one, the roaming revenues. But we have done our best in order to compensate, but doing different things that I will explain later on.
Okay. Well, I guess nobody wants to give you roaming revenue, I guess, anyway, do they? When we're overseas and we get the charge. But it's interesting you say that, and we'll come back a little bit later actually about, you mentioned about your people. Yeah, I guess the pressure on customer service is higher now because people's demands, let's call them demands, and expectations of their connection is much higher than it ever was, because let's say millions of people are working from home. So we'll come back to you on that. Andre, good morning to you, sir. Now, Andre, you've had quite a journey over the last sort of 3 or 4 years, really getting involved in the startup and supporting the startup industry, etc. But tell us a little bit about SeedBlink, and again, what's your business model? You're a relatively new organization. Have you shifted your business model during these times, and really, how is it going forward over the next 12 months? Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for the invitation. Yes, indeed, we are a startup ourselves, and we don't have any comparison to make with 2019, because we have been set up as a company in January 2020. So we are a kid of pandemics, if I could say like that. And yeah, it was a journey. I'm not a corporate guy since 3 years ago. I used to be a banker for 20 years, and yeah, I started this journey in 2018 with human finance, and then we made a spin-off with SeedBlink. SeedBlink, it's a platform that it's something like a marketplace that is making the connection between the interested investors for tech environment, for tech startups, and the startups themselves, which are willing to raise money, and they are in the pre-seed or seed category. So to make a comparison, we can say that we are a sort of we are organized as a sort of IPOs. If people is aware of the everybody's talking about the next IPO, the future IPO of UiPath, which is a very popular example coming from Romania these days. But we are organizing this kind of sort of IPOs for the early stage startups, tech startups, and we are focusing only on tech. And so far in our first year of existence, we gathered already 3,500 investors in the platform. The minimum ticket for investing in such a startup is 2,500 euro. And we have also a maximum cap. Nobody can exceed more than 20% of the fundraising that is made through Seedblink. In order because we have also this aim to democratize investments in the tech world, in tech startups. And here we are after 1 year. We actually we have been we had some advantages coming from COVID. One is the interest of the let's say classical investors to this new world, to the tech world. I just seen a report from McKinsey saying that the digitalization was accelerated with 10 years during the pandemic.
Wow.
So people are also the investors are seeing this as a good opportunity. On the other side, operationally speaking, because we are working in Romania and we know how the bureaucracy could have their we have some top some awards on the bureaucracy in some respects. For example, the Chamber of Commerce has accepted during the pandemics the paperwork to be scanned, to be digitalized, and we were benefiting of this because otherwise making an SPV, because for each campaign we are setting up an SPV, it was quite unpleasant for the investors to lively sign all the paperwork, all the papers related to that investment.
So they've thrown away the fax machine finally, have they? That's really really good news. It's interesting you say that as well. But just stay with you just for a second there, because I was quite interested in what you said about your model. You know, so I assume by that you're actually encouraging people who wouldn't normally think about investing, giving them a platform where they can actually invest. So it's 2,500 euros. What would you say to somebody who's watching this right now, who's maybe got, you know, their great auntie's just given them 2,500 euros? So spend it wisely. Is this a good investment right now, or should we be? What's your advice for people out there?
This is one very, very important goal for us, that each investor that is coming to the platform to watch it very cautiously, and because investing in startups, it's a high risk investment, because the statistics show that startups, a big percentage of them are failing. This is the life of a startup. But we as a platform, we are filtering the startups with respect to their founders, to their ethics, to their let's say the plans, the business plans that they are making to be accurate, and most importantly to post on the platform the most accurate information from the startup, also about their plans, in order that the investor to make their decisions in a very proper way. So to be very aware about the risk and the benefits that could come from their investment. That's very, very important. We are pioneers in this part of Europe. There is no other platform up to Prague or Warsaw as such, making equity crowdfunding. But on the other side, last year in October, the European Parliament approved a regulation that is coming into place in all Europe, in all the countries of Europe, not anymore in UK, starting with November this year. and yeah, that will have also a sort of passport in the European environment for this. Will be regulated, and we are glad that Europe is making progresses on this field.
Sounds good, and I guess you're continuing to fly the Romanian flag as well. Mario,
Not only.
Sorry, go on. Yep.
About the Romanian flag, we of course we are from here. We have our roots here, but we want to position. We have this opportunity to position Romania on the map of Europe in terms of investments. We already started to support. We have an example of a startup coming from Britain that was making fundraising on our platform, Crickle. They have a development team here in Romania. They have a angel that is a Romanian guy, and also we are having different examples of Romanian startups set up abroad in the Netherlands, two in US that were making fundraising to us. But we are glad that in the first year of our existence, we have the statistics show that we have been part of 40% of the campaigns for making for fundraising for the fundraising rounds of tech startups last year with seedlings. So we facilitated more than 10 million euro last year. For this
congratulations, and I enjoyed the little wave of the British flag there as well. I guess we need as much waving as we could possibly get right now, but we won't go to Brexit. So let's move on. Let's move on. Marius, just coming back to you, my friend. You know, I guess in terms of a startup, Tremend was a startup not that long ago. I guess a few years ago, 10 years, I think. Yeah, but it was a startup with you and your partner. And I just really want to sort of keep on the subject of startups, because it is a kind of phenomenon. In Romania, 2019, there was this kind of explosion. Everybody from the age of 15 to the age of 60 wanted to be an entrepreneur and start up a business. We all do, of course. How do you evaluate the startup industry over the last, and obviously Andre sort of touched on it, there's some successes, but from your perspective, how have you seen that over the last sort of 12 months? And really, the second part of the question is about tapping into that expertise. I think it's fair to say that Romania and Romanians have a great reputation globally now in terms of the IT expertise, as well as lots of other things, but particularly in that industry. How is that sort of being incubated within Tremend? Are you still looking at startups as part of your growth acquisition trail? What is happening in industry? Is there something we should do to keep this going other than companies like Seedblink? What else should we be doing? I think there's about 4 questions in there for you.
4 or 5, yeah, that's what I was counting as well. The startup scene, I mean, I've been in the industry for some time now, and I've seen all kinds of, let's call it macro movements. And there was a phase when very early, let's say, investors were trying to raise awareness on the topic, on what it means to be an entrepreneur, to start something and build something. And I remember distinctly some of the challenges those guys were facing. I think it was, I don't know, maybe 6 years ago, when it was a bit too early, I would say, when people were still keen on, oh, but I have a job and it's paying good and it's safe and so on. Although their ideas were quite amazing, and although there were investors who were brought in from US, willing to help them build something. So from that attitude, I think there was, all this education that happened through various communication and so on. And of course, the UiPath example, everything have contributed to building this image. And now I think people are more interested in doing that. So I think from comparing to a child's age, we're a bit over our infancy. now all kinds of ideas are showing up. And to be perfectly honest, I just heard yesterday a new idea about a new job website among the hundreds and dozens that we keep hearing about another startup around the job website, who just received some investment, which to me it signals actually two things. One of the things is the fact that, as we all know, there are a lot of money on the market, and people are don't know what to do with them. You can buy art, real estate, but you should buy some potential stock in a startup. So there was a bit of enthusiasm around the new job website with a different approach, which is an idea that has been recycled in many ways. I'm not saying that it can be innovation there, but I think maybe it's a bit too crowded, that space at this point. And second, beyond the fact that there are a lot of money, IT people are more willing to take the chance, take the leap to do that, and not necessarily just the 20 years old, how it was the case. In this case, it was I think a group of people of over 30, so a bit more mature, right? A bit more towards the the 40 age. They say an entrepreneur is successful. So I think at the macro level, we're growing as a country, and there are more ideas. And on a second topic, I was talking to an investment banker in UK who was talking about the UiPath example, and was saying that he did see the same path in other countries where there was like Skype in the Baltic countries and other big startups that draw billions in investment, and in this case even dozens of billions, and based on that, that single startup generated a range of other millionaires and people willing to invest, and you do a nice exit being as a 20th employee, let's say, and what are you going to do with the money? You can't just stay at home and play tennis. So basically this sort of you just need one to actually generate many more. So I'm really looking forward to the next maybe 5-10 years, maybe when UiPath is gonna do a very nice IPO and everything, and that will spark I would say like probably the second wave. Let's call it that.
Interesting. Alex, before I come to you, Andre, I want to just come back to you on this point, because it's quite interesting what Marius was saying there, and particularly with the age thing. I think you said 48 was the kind of the
an exact number. It was 48 exactly.
So I'm beyond. I've gone past that. But it's quite an interesting point, Andre, that Marius is making there about startups, and he used the word education. What's your experience? Because there's probably people are coming on this to be inspired by leadership ideas, etc. Well, I guess leadership starts with ourselves. So, young entrepreneur under 48 years old who's looking at this, are you seeing cases of can I say the lack of education or lack of business acumen for people with brilliant ideas? And what's happened is that those ideas have actually been shelved. So is there a case to say that there's somewhere where we can help these people kind of resurrect an idea that may be still in here? What is happening there? Or is it the help that an entrepreneur startup can get? Is it widely available? Another 4 questions.
So it seems I still have to learn, because I'm 46, so at least another 2 years for reaching there. But actually, when I started along with my co-founder Ionuț, who is also a former banker, we founded Human Finance, that was meant to be digital accelerator for the tech entrepreneurs in order to get knowledge before getting funding. So without any doubt, there is this kind of need. We met a lot of entrepreneurs in that period, in that journey, and we want to make a mix of the funding, because that's why we set up Seedlink, because this kind of journey of educating founders and entrepreneurs should be accomplished by a real achievement, meaning the funding. On the other side, we have built there 20 tools for in the world of finance and the business in order to get these guys to be better prepared for acting both in the pitching stage, but also on the communication with the market, with their clients, with their shareholders, and so on. What we have noticed in the Romanian environment, in the tech startup ecosystem, we are lacking on the sales and marketing skills.
Okay.
We have very good and skilled people on the technical side that are coming from, and Marius could confirm or not, because he's part of this world more than I am. These guys are very skilled on the technical side and on the dev side, but they are very much in love with their product and with their idea, and they don't. A lot of them, I wouldn't say all of them. A lot of them are not making the swift to the market and test their idea with the potential clients, and be eager to adapt, to make the to be flexible enough. And I think this is coming from, of course, from the skills of an IT guy, which is more introvert, but also from the school and the preparation from the school, because as far as I know, probably this is happening also in Britain, but most of the schools, of IT schools in US, are focusing on the sales and marketing for 1 year at least. And these guys are more used with, we know every one of us, the Americans, their style. I'm not necessarily a fan, but this is clearly a big advantage of the American environment, startup environment.
It's really interesting, and Maris, I'll come to you and we'll just cover which out of you and Ewan is the introvert and the extrovert. But I think I might know the answer to that. But Alex, coming to you, just changing subject just slightly on this. And you mentioned about people. I want to come on to the human side of leadership. It is something that we've covered before, but I think as more data is now coming through, we're discovering the challenges of working from home. More than the pleasure of working from home. We're hearing about the challenges of leadership, remote leadership, etc. Just touch on what we touched on before about customer service. I guess the demands your customer service people are getting more and more expectations, etc. From a leadership perspective, how are you in Vodafone in terms of keeping everybody's sanity, but also keeping that collaboration and the branding and the engagement and all those wonderful words we hear? What is happening in Vodafone, and what is your advice for people out there? Before you answer the question, I just want to remind everybody, if you do have any questions, please pop them in the chat. We've actually got 95 people streaming live on Facebook watching us as well, so we've got a nice big audience. But Alex, so over to you for that question.
I'm a very strong believer that whatever business idea you have, in order to make it happen, or very good strategy you have, in order to make it happen and become successful, you need to rely on people. So in Vodafone, in Romania, we are putting people at our core. So whatever we do, we rely on having the right person at the right role, with the right level of preparation, and also on the other side, the way in which the person feels, it's extremely important for us. We all know, but maybe not everybody remembers this every time. So the better the team you have, in a better shape and with the higher level of happiness, as long as you work in customer service, also the level of happiness of the clients will be bigger. Okay, so we have put, and especially in the segment, in the sector that I'm working on, the small and medium companies, having the right people, it's the key priority for us. And having the right people, meaning not only from the professional point of view, but also from the feeling point of view. All this period for us, yes, it stretched the limits. It put pressure on us to reinvent. And I'm saying it with pride that we did it in a very good way. And we did it because we have some amazing people working for us in Vodafone. And the level of happiness, even if it's crisis, it's quite high. It's not an easy period. Working from home, as you said, it also stretches and blurring the whole barriers. Okay, now I'm in my house in the living room, yeah, and I'm connected with you and also with another tens of people. In working environment is the same, so there are no more barriers. There are the kids in the other room. There is the dog walking around. There is the husband or the wife and everything, and this puts a lot of pressure on all of us. So we had to take a lot of care on this. What I see in Vodafone is the level of interaction somehow changed and increased at the personal level. Yes, we are connected like this, but we care more about what people feel, how do they feel, how is family, how is the balance between work and life, and so on. So yes, for us and for me personally, because your question was around leadership. There are many different leadership styles, and leadership is something individual. You can develop a leadership style that you believe in if you educate it, educate it. Okay, if you invest in yourself. I am a strong believer that people are the most important part, are the heart and the core of every business. And whatever strategy you have or plan, if you don't have the right people engaged and motivated and dedicated, the chances for you to make it are very small.
Okay. So I guess what you're saying is be authentic in your leadership as well, with the emotional intelligence, which obviously is a big skill that everybody needs right now, but being authentic with it. Marius, I'm going to ask you just to add to that very briefly, because I asked you this question, I think the last time, about how are things in Fremend with working from home. Give us a little update on that. But we've also got a question from our friend Volker Moser. It's actually a question for Andre as well. But Marius, you can answer this one as well. So I promise only 2 questions for you this time. So, do you think that the lack of marketing skills you see in Romania among entrepreneurs are based on Romanian cultural behavior patterns, or actually the lack of formal marketing education at university or even in the school environment? So Marius, quick update on leadership, people, emotions, and then tackle that one for us, please, my friend.
All right. So with regards to the marketing skills and sales, I think Andrei has made a very good point about our education system missing a big step on that. I think we should have more constant, approaches from early years towards university and so on, for this kind of skills, presentation, sales, negotiation, and so on. I'm probably, as an engineer.
Oh, you're the introvert.
Jan is an engineer as well, but yeah, you're right here. I prefer more exact things. I'm trying to educate myself towards the dynamic parts of sales and marketing and other less exact domains. So I guess this is a factor, especially in IT. And since many companies, at least in Romania, have been founded by very, I don't know, good engineers, strong engineers with the same appetite for exact things, somehow we reach this point. Now the good thing is that I see I see things changing. I mean, I'm very enthusiastic about some of my colleagues, very young colleagues, in their early 20s, who exhibit the most inspiring attitude, openness, and speaking abilities, and all those, let's say, soft skills that you'd like to see more, and I think the country needs more and more. So I think we're on a good path there.
Okay, that's good advice, and something I'm making notes of. I do spend a lot of time, helping people in terms of just basic public speaking. I think is some of it, that the confidence, as we said earlier on, engineers being able to really sell what they do is quite a tough challenge. Actually, while you're on, Marius, I do have a question from Adriana specifically for you. And it's really, do you see a growth in building products, IP, versus outsourced development in Romania? And is Tremend building its own products as well? So the engineer can answer that question.
Absolutely. It would be my pleasure. So yeah, it's something we've been dancing around for even since we started the company, and I think in the latest last few years, we've had very good success with our digital onboarding platform. I think the secret to that is beyond marketing and sales is also the driving force. The person who believes in the idea and is able to push it. And our VP of Financial Services, Stefan, was the motivating force behind this product, which is now being deployed to several customers, and we're looking at a bright future, let's say, there. Beyond that, we've also had the opportunity to build around our partnership with Typing DNA, another successful startup from Romania, a product for the educational system, which came out again out of this whole COVID situation. Basically, the story is quite simple. People would have to take exams online, and the level of creativity in cheating online is beyond anyone could think of. And to that, we have built a proctoring tool that would allow identifying and helping schools and universities with their exams, and that's also going well. So to answer Dan, I think Adriana. To answer Adriana, I think this is something we're interested in, and outsourcing companies should do that as well. One of the largest, let's say, consulting companies, Accenture, I think I read a statistic somewhere at some point, was generating about 20% of the revenues. We're talking about a 500,000 people company. We're generating 20% of the revenues from their own products.
Wow.
So it's not just a services and consulting company. So I think a healthy amount of or percentage of the revenues coming from your own products is a good point.
Okay, good stuff. So we're in pretty good shape there. Talking about in good shape, we now have 148 people following us on Facebook. So you gentlemen are creating this not crowdfunding but crowd watching situation here. So thank you for that. We do have a couple of other questions. I'm gonna throw this to Andre. What kind of adaptive methods, tools, practical with a smiley face, this is from Florian, do you find useful? What new useful habits were created in your companies or in companies that you're associated with?
During last year, the most challenging part was the bonding. We were facing two challenges actually, because we are creating a totally new team. Being a startup, we started to hire only at the middle of last year, exactly in the lockdown. And even though we tried at least once per month to meet everyone in in a big yard or somewhere in a big terrace in order to create this bonding. And people were just looking for the next flesh and bones meetings. That's very important. The Zoom and the other platforms are missing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
We should keep the human interaction, but it's coming soon, as far as I'm feeling. And the other side, for me, it's important that the leadership. I feel like that, and I was applying it also in my previous life as a banker. Is a team is not necessarily a group of people that is working together, but it's a group of people that is trusting each other. That's critical for me, and the leader has, or the leaders have the most important role in that. Although they are not necessarily visible of creating that environment, but I'm not just listing here. I could not list here practical tools for making that trusting environment. It's part of the inner personality of the leader, and it's very important. He or she should be very natural and not just follow a different model or a different person's model. He or she should be natural and create this circle of trust. That's, for me, the most important part of the leadership.
Okay, Andre, it sounds like you're quoting from a leadership manual from 1975, and I say that
old-fashioned,
with a straight face, because it's quite interesting. All these things about trust and empathy and all those things which were taught when I was a youngster, and technology kind of dissolved it a little bit. COVID, I think, is what we're saying, is kind of brought back those basic human principles into business alongside technology. So again, yeah, I don't want to talk too positively about COVID, but yeah, I guess one of the adaptabilities of it has been that. Alex, let me come to you. Thank you, Andre. Another question from Dan. I believe numbers can be adjusted on a profit, I think, by a creative campaign in market to help sales. Do companies believe in advertising concepts these days, or is it the first budget to be cut off? So what's Vodafone doing? Is it accelerated your marketing campaign, or are you doing it differently?
It's a good question across the industries. This period of time, many companies, small or big or medium, are rearranging the way in which the publicity investments are made. And it's not about cutting, it's about investing in the areas in which you get the best traction. So for us, the best traction today and the way in which we can be more in contact with the customer is the digital part. So once you are present in digital, you have also the opportunity, if you like calling, for instance, one of our advertising, you click on it, we call you back. We get in touch instantly, meaning if you are interested. If you see an advertising on TV, you will think about, or an outdoor, you will think about it. And whenever you will have time, you will go in a shop, or if you have a company, maybe you will call us in order to send you an agent, okay, to discuss face to face. The world is changing, and there are many aspects of our life, personal and business, that are changing today as we speak. And there are people that are getting it. So change is accelerated these days. Change was always present in our life. And we have seen companies like Marius and Andrei ones that are growing heavily, and in exactly the same time, companies that are going down with very high speed, okay? And they believe that is wrong, that is something wrong in the market, in the world, and everything is bad. While Andrei and Marius see an opportunity to grow and to go abroad and to help other businesses to be better and stronger. So it's the same thing also with the advertising. So we need to adapt, we need to change the way in which we invest, and this is something that we are doing. Our philosophy is that we want to stay in contact with the customer where the customer is, and it's easier for him to get in contact with us whenever he wants. And yes, there is a change, there is a shift between traditional media investment and the new media investment.
Okay, and I guess it's, you know, companies like Fremend and Blink and Vodafone, you know, they become role models for many young entrepreneurs. You know, UiPath we've already mentioned. I guess it's like in sport. You know, every young girl, I think I've said this before. Every young girl probably wants to play tennis because of Simona Halep. So you need those role models in sport, but also the ones in industry. So I guess that's part of the marketing. We're coming to the last few minutes. We do have another question, which I'm going to put to all of you, and it may be your last question you want to answer. So I was going to ask you to add a little bit of advice for people, but it's quite an important subject. It's come from Akshay Gupta. The issue with the new normal post-pandemic is the issue of replacement of people as being the heart and soul of any business. I think he's quoted you there, Alex. So now being machines and software, we as humans in capital letters are being replaced in capital letters, and thus we need to change ourselves in accordance with the changing times, or we will be, it's more of a statement than a question, or we'll be redundant and useless in the new environment. And I guess it is a statement which I know all three of you are going to come back and say that's not exactly as it is. Let me tell you what it is. Marius, tell us. It is a subject that's been raised before, but I think, you know, as the weeks and months go by, things do change. Where are we on now in terms of people, you know, technology taking our jobs?
Still very far away. So for the audience, I think we're good. Plus the fact that I think we give too much or too few credit to the survival instinct that every human being has. I mean, someone who will become jobless, I'm pretty sure will find a way to because whenever this instinct kicks in, you will, you know, be on the lookout for opportunities of any kind, and the world is transforming. And don't think for a second that the automation that we're looking at is something that's gonna replace humans. It's going to complement. I think Gupta was also on the same point. And this complementing of humans, it's a bit different. I mean, we need to learn to integrate automation more into our life. So whatever we're doing, we should have like a partner, be it a software or even in the future maybe a robot. But it will be an automation partner, something that helps us with our daily activities. I mean, for us, you know, we're digitizing a lot of company, but we're going through the same kind of challenges ourselves as well. I see things or processes within the company quite, you know, the same way, in the sense that some of them are automated, while some of them are waiting their turn, let's say. And the goal here is to, you know, like internally for us to bring more automation into the manual processes. And even at that point, you know, at some point there will be let's say a conflict with the culture, because if you want to really build a good culture, having an automatic system spamming you across you know, various tasks is something that will erode the group and so on. So I think there will be, you know, we'll probably make mistakes, but it will definitely be a joint venture between humans and automations.
Okay. And I guess that little checkbox, I am not a robot, keeps giving us hope anyway. But Andre, coming to you, just the same question for you.
The subject is remembering me the Matrix series. If you remember that scene with Moses and Neo talking to the people and animating them and motivating them to fight against machines. We are not really in that movie yet, but I think there is a brisk and certain period of time to have such real scenes on Earth, if the people that is, and I'm thinking especially to AI, which if it's managed and programmed and developed by unethical person, we could reach at some point in time to this kind of debates. Right now, I'm not feeling it that risk, but we should be very careful to the ethical side of programming the machines. On the other side, yeah, I'm on the same page with what Mario said. We should look at the opportunities that this automation and IT is bringing to us, and there is so much work to be done on that, and so many opportunities that I'm optimistic about this topic.
Okay, so and I guess Alex, coming to you, it's an opportunity for many people to take that slight diversion from where we talked about engineers earlier on, and we talked about the challenge of startups, of being able to promote it. You know, it's a good opportunity if you've got a startup, you're a young engineer, to maybe go on a marketing course or a public speaking course and really sort of adapt to this environment and embrace it rather than be afraid of it. What's your thoughts in terms of what's happening in Vodafone on this?
I believe, first of all, Mr. Gupta's question, it's a question on many people's minds and hearts. Because not everybody works in marketing or in large corporations, okay? And there are different type of jobs in the market. And there is this threat saying that machines will replace many of the basic jobs that today many people are handling. So what is happening today, from my point of view, is that companies are automatizing repetitive tasks, simple tasks like, I don't know, I'll give you some examples. And copying some details from a bill, physical bill, and insert those details in a system, okay, the accountability system. This task can be replaced easily today by a robot, okay, which is having this repetitive task and just moving numbers from left to right in order for the system to calculate. Other type of jobs like, I don't know, there are people today working in order to activate a barrier in a neighborhood or in a compound or in an office building. This type of job, yes, can be replaced with a video camera able to read numbers from the machine, or there is a robot behind, there is a artificial intelligence behind. If you are having also a job like you are driving an elevator, I don't know if in other countries this job exists, but in Romania, for instance, there are less and less people that are hired in order to move the elevator from the first floor to second floor to third floor. This type of jobs, you are right, Gupta, will not exist anymore. And it's a reality that we all need to face it. And it's important to adapt. Adaptability is not only for businesses or for managers in big corporations. Adaptability, it's about survival. And this exists in the animal world, to be adapted to the new environment in the jungle, and also in the civilized environment. The evolution is a constant. There are jobs, basic, repetitive, that will be replaced with robots. And this is 100% correct, okay? I'm not here to say that this is not correct. What we need to do as human beings is to understand and to get something else to do where we can add more value. And this is my view. In Vodafone, we have not replaced people because we have implemented robots. We have changed roles, and this is correct. Okay, repetitive roles were taken over by artificial intelligence, and the person that was computing now it's having different roles. We care a lot about people, and this is not a formal statement from a book. Like people are at our core, at our heart. We really believe it, and we strongly believe it, and we try to add value for everybody, also considering the change. But in the end of the day, the adaptability and the capacities to survive, this is something individual. It's what I decide, is what you decide, considering what we understand that is happening around us.
Okay. Okay, good words, and I guess the word adaptability sort of is a nice way. When we finish on a very sort of positive note, I think one thing that struck for me particularly was about education. I think you just touched on it there. Maybe that adaptability can be encouraged within the schools or universities a little bit more. So when people don't come out into the big wide world, they do have choice A, choice B, choice C in life. And I think that was a strong message that came through all of you. Marius, Andre, Alex, thank you so much. Thank you to Romania Insider and of course the team at BRCC for putting on today's event. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a subject you would like our warriors from the jungle, I think we called you at the end, to tackle, please write to us and we'll organise the session 3 of this leaders series. But again, gentlemen, thank you very much. And for everybody watching, have a good day and a safe day. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Marius and Andre. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you very much.
Hey, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
All the best. Bye-bye.
All the best. Bye.